Hello everyone, so let's rig this character that we made in the last video. So there's a few things we need to do before we can actually start rigging it. First we need to go through and apply some of the modifiers and then join some things in a certain way. So I'm going to highlight the eyebrows, apply everything, eyelashes, apply, eyeballs, apply. I'm not going to join these to the head because it messes with the rig for some reason, so I'm just going to join all three of these together. The hair, no modifiers. The face and body, no modifiers. The clothes, I'm also not going to join to the body. I want those to be separate so that when we go into Unreal Engine we can actually make these. These will be able to be used as equipment mesh. You'll be able to set it up with an equipment system. Hint, hint, we have a video on that if you'd like to see it. Alright, so let's go up here, go to the General tab, and let's add a layout, because it's a little bit easier to do it from here. So right here is the world origin. We want that to be right at our character's feet. So let's just select everything. I'm going to select the body last, and just scale it down. And we'll move it up. So move it up to where it's about at the feet. Now I'm going to import a size reference for Unreal Engine. So I've taken the mannequin from Unreal and have brought him into Blender to kind of use as a size comparison so that we get the right size. Have another video on that as part of the 5.1 beginner series, so if you want to see that, it's over there. And we'll just position him looking pretty good. So now that we got him the same size that we would have him in Unreal, we can start rigging him. So just so that this isn't interfering, I'm going to hide his clothes. And we'll Shift A and here under armature, oh, just click armature and it adds the bone. So we'll scale it down, and in front orthographic mode I'm going to set this one to be right. I'm going to set that orange dot right at the crotch. Now with the armature selected, if you go over here to this search and type in front, you can click this button right here and then you'll always be able to see it. I'm going to tab into edit mode and grab this top dot. I typically put this one about in line with where the hips are because this is going to be the pelvis bone, and then we're going to try to just match it up a little bit based off the Unreal skeleton. It's not 100% like 1-to-1. I do it a little bit differently, but it works out pretty good. So this one is about in line with the hips, and then I'll extrude up to about the solar plexus, or in between the belly button and the rib right there. That's spine 1, spine 2, and then one more time for spine 3. Then we'll go up one more for the neck, and then one more for the head. And I've lined the neck up just about at the mouth, and the head just between the forehead. So it goes up from the crotch to the hips, then the hips to between the belly button and the ribs, then to about the center of the chest, then about up where the clavicle's at. And then if we look from the side, we can kind of position these where we need them. So I'm going to just line these up to be about where the spinal column would be. And then that's going to be fine for that. So back from the front view, I'm going to grab this one right at the clavicle, and I'm going to extrude it to the right, and this is going to be the shoulder, probably about there. Then we'll go for the upper arm, lower arm, and the hand. So just about wherever there's a joint, that's where this little ball would be, because that's going to be what defines our range of motion. So we will have to go into side view. If it gets confusing and you can't tell, you can just H and hide those, and then when you're in the side view, you'll just see the one you're looking for. So just kind of line it up to where it's inside the mesh. We'll go back and name everything in a bit. And then lined up with the hand. You're going to have to check from the different angles and then kind of rotate around just to make sure, because it does get a little bit hard to tell sometimes. But that's looking pretty good. Good enough. Now we can do the fingers, so I'm going to go straight from this one and up 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Oh, I should. And then it's just a lot of grabbing and moving it around, just kind of looking from different angles to make sure you're lined up on your actual skeletal mesh. Ooh. That looks pretty good, so I'm going to extrude 1, 2, 3, and a 1, 2, 3. Oh, crap. Alright. And just like the other stuff, gonna have to go through and just kind of readjust it. You can adjust the angle of your bone by clicking the dots, or you can adjust the whole bone location just by clicking the triangular piece. So it's all about just lining it up. So we'll 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I feel like I did that one wrong, but it'll be fine for now. We can go through and reposition everything. So it might be a little difficult at first just to kind of gauge where everything needs to be, but the more you do it, the more practice you get at it, the easier it gets. And then keeping in mind that wherever you're looking from when you're moving stuff, that will affect the direction it's being pulled. So that's why we rotate around a lot and just kind of line everything up. And just about where the different sections of the fingers are at. Oop. It seems a little bit time consuming, but it's not too bad. And there's the hand. Hang on a second. Sorry. Alright. And then I go through and I just delete these. And we'll just delete the bones. You'll see it has this dotted line because it's still parented to the most recent. So that's why I do it that way. Alright, let's Alt-H to unhide this down here. Grabbing this bottom joint and going straight to the right. You can actually just hit the X if you want to. That's not quite. That'll be fine right there. And then that will be a hip bone. Then here's the thigh, the shin, the foot. We'll just again line these up about where they're supposed to be. Well, that'll be the ankle, foot, toe. No, we'll do it like this. So that's the foot bone, that's the toe bone. Let's come to this angle, double check everything. Alright, now that we've done half the skeleton, we can just name everything and then we'll be able to just symmetrize and get it on the other side. So let's start with the hip bone. And under this bones tab we can start naming them. So this is going to be the pelvis. This is spine 1, spine 2, spine 3, neck, and head. So for those it works out, but for these, if we want to symmetrize them, we'll add a .l to it. So we'll call this one clavicle.l, and we need that .l because it's what makes the symmetrized thing work. So this is upper arm.l, lower arm.l, hip.l. Could probably actually maybe delete that one, but I'm going to leave it. Thigh.l, shin.l, foot.l, toe.l, and then did we get the hand? No, we got the lower arm. Let's do the hand.l. Alright, thumb 1.l, and then you just go through and label each finger. Just like that, making sure you're incrementing the number. So this is thumb 3.l because it's in the left hand. Index 1, 2, ooh, alright. That's the middle, oh, 1. And then the ring finger. And then the pinky, gonna zoom in a little bit. Sorry for the constant sniffles, my allergies are messing with me. And pinky 3. Alright, now with all that done, we can look at our character from the front orthographic. Just box select all these. I'm going to select these also with the shift click, right click, and we can hit this symmetrize button and then it'll mirror it across. Now we do want to go through just to check parenting relations. So this needs to have a parent, otherwise it'll consider it a root bone. So I'm going to parent it to the pelvis. Same thing with this one, and then just go through and click and make sure that that parent thing right there just has something in it for every bone except this one. They all should, except for those right here. Yeah, we should be good to go. Alright, so now what we can do is we can tab back out into object mode, select our mesh, and then select the skeleton, hit Control P, and we want to parent to armature with automatic weights. And just give, oh, I guess it's done. Now we can go into pose mode and we should be able to, yeah, we can move our buddy. If you're not too crazy about how some of it looks, you can go back into, you can hit this mirror button and then you'll be able to move stuff around. So I want that to kind of maybe come down a little bit. Maybe the same with this joint right here. Come on now. There we go. Just gonna drop it down to about shoulder like that. Alright, and then we can forget how to clear the parent. But we'll just go through to the vertex groups, which is this dots right here, and just undo everything. And then delete this armature thing. And then should be, let's go back into pose mode and just double check. Yeah. So if you don't like the way it looks, then you can just undo it and then come back to object mode. Kind of reposition it where you do think it would look better. And then do it again. Oh, let's see. There we go. Control P with automatic weights. And now let's try the pose mode again. I think that should have been up a little bit. And then it's just about finding where you like the bends, basically. So maybe up to about here. And I gotta do it one more time. So, well, maybe, let's see. Yeah, probably gotta adjust the weights, so I'm gonna do that one more time. Just get rid of that. Get rid of the vertex groups one more time. There's a lot because there's one for every bone. Oh. With automatic weights. And it's looking good enough for what we need to do. Now you notice that the hair and the eyes will be left behind. The way we can fix that is we select the eyes and then select the mesh. And we're going to go up here to object and we're going to link and transfer data. And we want to transfer the mesh data because where we set up this mesh vertex groups, we're going to transfer that here so that when this bone moves and takes the head, this moves according. So we'll eyes, face, object, link, transfer mesh data. We want the vertex groups. Click this little drop down because we don't want the active layer, we want all layers. And then we will select the thing we just transferred the data to, and then the armature, Control P, and we will set the parent with empty groups. That way it keeps the groups it already has. And then when I select this, and then I pose that, the eyes and eyebrows move. This is how you can make equipment work too. So you'll just basically copy the data from your mesh and transfer it to the clothes or the eyes or the hair, whatever you're trying to make. So same thing with the hair, object, link, transfer mesh data, object, link, transfer mesh data, vertex groups. Should already be at all layers, but just make sure it is. And then we'll the hair, select the skeleton, Control P, empty groups. And then we'll pose it. Yeah, oh, them ears, buddy. It's because they're not technically part. They weren't actually combined. So what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and separate them off. So just in edit mode, if you highlight some of the faces on each one and just hold Control and plus, since they're not connected to the mesh, it'll just fill up what's there. P, separate by selection, and we'll just do the same thing. Link and transfer data, vertex groups, yep, to the mesh with empties. Oh, I wonder if it's because it didn't get the vertex that was under here, because the ear was there. Let's try this again. So we will go to the hair. Yeah. Alright. Oh, and then just to make sure, yeah. Alright, so hair, face, object, link, transfer mesh data, vertex groups, hair, skeleton, Control P, empty groups, bam. There we go. It was because the ears were joined to it, so it didn't count the vertices underneath it for some reason, but now, there we go. Alright, and now that we have our body posed, if we unhide the clothing, let's go into material preview just so you can see. What you'll notice is, even in pose mode, the clothing gets left behind. But if we do the same thing and just highlight this, highlight the body, link and transfer data, mesh data, vertex groups, yep. And then we take the shirt and parent it to the skeleton with Control P and empty groups. Now when we pose, huzzah, it follows the mesh. So no clipping, none of that jazz. So we'll do the same thing with the pants and the body. Object, link, transfer mesh, vertex group, yes. Same thing with the shoes real quick. We'll just, yup. And then the pants get parented with empty groups, and the shoes get parented with empty groups. Now, pose our rig, and we've got them decent. But they're still separate meshes, so we can use it as part of an equipment system. Alright, and he is pretty much ready to go into Unreal. Oh, what we can do, let's just, now we can actually Control J and join all these, and then it'll work fine. But if you want different hairs for your character, or different eyebrows or anything like that, then you would want to make sure it's not combined to the actual base mesh. You would want it to stay separate, and then I'll show you how we're going to export the clothes. You'd do the same thing for the hair. So the first thing we want to do, we want to export our base mesh. So we want to highlight the mesh and the skeleton. We'll go up to File, and we're going to export FBX to the desktop, and this will be PreRigGreg. I don't know why I'm calling him Greg, I just like the name Greg right now. So we're going to limit to selected objects, because we only want the two things. We don't want the clothes to come with them. Not yet. Eventually we want them decent, but not right now. Under the geometry tab for smoothing, face. And it is an armature, but it's not an animation, so we untick the bake animation. Alright, so we'll export that. Now we can take the clothes, so we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to highlight the shirt, and highlight the skeleton. I don't know why I couldn't think of that word. And then we'll export. You want to make sure you're selecting the skeleton too, so that it takes it. So we'll just call it Greg shirt. And these should all be the same, but you want to make sure that the include is limited to selected objects, and that the smoothing is on the face, and everything should be fine. Same thing with the pants, skeleton, export FBX Greg pants, and then the shoes, export FBX Greg shoes. Man, my allergies are on fire. We'll save everything real quick and we'll minimize this. Let's go check out into Unreal. Oh, I have one project already open right now, just because I didn't want y'all to have to sit through the booting process. I've done nothing to it. It's all... I'm going to switch over to my mouse though. So it's all just a fresh project. So I'm going to go into my third person folder under blueprints where the character... Let's get this up. I don't know why it's so... Why everything's so small. Or large, actually. But I'm not going to worry about it now. I'm going to right click and add a new folder. Greg pieces. And I'm going to import. First thing I'm going to import is just the body. So here's RigTGreg. We'll bring them in. We don't want to set a skeletal mesh because we want it to bring it in. We want the geometry and skinny wings. Basically everything is fine. So we'll import it like this. I don't really know what that, we're not worried about it. It'll fix it for us. So we'll come down here, bring out our body and just double check, make sure nothing is see-through, everything looks appropriate. Mostly appropriate, we're good. You know, mostly appropriate. But we can go through and fix up the materials to add a little bit of roughness if you wanted to. I'm not going to worry about it right at this point. So here's the Greg pieces. Now I'm going to bring in Greg clothes. And we'll just import pants, shirt, shoes. Open, and we do want to assign the skeleton. It's Greg's. Yep. And then there we go. We got him some clothes. So now we can go into our blueprints folder. We'll go to our third person character VP because I'm in a third person template. I'm going to double click and pray that it doesn't crash out on me, please. Oh. I got nervous. Alright, save everything real quick. So we'll set up the character to be used right here. And then we'll go get the animations that we're going to retarget over to him. Once it's done with this. My computer's been getting slower. Alright, so we'll go into the viewport, find our mesh, and I'm going to change this to be Mr. Greg. Then I'm going to add a skeletal mesh that will be his shirt. By highlighting the mesh, it's automatically parented, so we'll add one more that is his pants. And then one more that is his shoes. So for the shirt, it is the shirt. For the pants, for the shoes, the shoes. There we go, you're decent, ready to go on an adventure. Now one more thing we're going to do just to make sure it's working in place later on, we'll go into the construction script and grab this mesh, this leader mesh, and we're going to set leader pose component. This will let us transfer the poses of this mesh to any children of it, or anything we apply here. So we don't want this to be the target, we want this to be the leader component. We'll grab out all three of these, and this is the target. This is what we are transferring data to. So this is what you're transferring data from, this is what you're transferring data to. So when we apply our animation blueprint here, it'll transfer it over to these also. Yeah, if we jump in and kind of run around for a minute, there he is. There's our Mr. Greg. He will be floating just a tiny bit. What we can do, we can just, For some reason they have it at -89 on the mesh transform. I drop it to about -92 and it seems to fix that floating issue. I don't know if it's the way I model things or what, but now he's on the ground. Save everything real quick. So now we can get a new folder for our animations retarget. So I'm going to double click and open that up. And I've gone and downloaded a character from Mixamo. So we'll import our character first. This should work with anything you want to retarget from. I've tried it with Mixamo. I haven't tried it with Unreal stuff yet. But it should theoretically work. Retargeting is just retargeting, and you just change the pose based on what you need. I like doing the Mixamo one because I'm very familiar with those animations, and we'll have to change the pose, so it gives us an excuse to do that. Get our animations in. And I'm just going to take all these. I just got enough just to get them running and jumping. For the skeleton, it will be Ybot. Alright. Alright, let's do... I guess we can do it here. Add a new folder, and this will be the components, and we'll just move all of the Ybot pieces into it. Man, my allergies are killing me. I'm sorry if that's annoying. Alright, so let's... Under the animation tab, we will need a PreRigGreg. This is the one that we'll use to once we have both of these set up. We need the yellow one first. And this will be Ybot. Let's set his up first. So retarget source _ rig. Double click and open it up, and then we'll go through and establish some chains. So here's the assets where we can see the animations that we have for the skeleton, and right here is the IK retargeter area where we can add the chains. We're going to add a new chain. Let's do the spine. I don't know what the goal does, so I just hit no goal every time. If you are familiar with that, let me know what that means. Then we got the neck that I can never seem to spell right. Then we got the left arm, left leg, and we're basically just going to go through, and just like we did, we're going to establish a chain for each piece. So we got the left leg, because it exists in a chain, it'll start here and cover every bone all the way down. We don't have to go through and apply each one. So we can do left index, left middle. I'm doing everything on one side because we can, left ring, we can actually mirror it once we apply the bones, and it'll automatically apply to the other side. So left pinky, but you want to make sure that you have left established. No goal, and left thumb. Okie doke. So for the spine, it starts at spine and goes to spine 2. The neck is neck to head. Left arm goes from the left shoulder to the left hand. Left leg goes from, I think it's up leg, yeah, left up leg to left foot. I'm going to pull this out a little bit. Left index. Index 4. And the reason I do left is because the left tends to be right here, so it's easier instead of having to scroll every time down to the right stuff. Left middle 4. Left ring. Just like that. Pinky to pinky. And thumb to thumb. Now we can just we can click here and click here with a shift click, and it'll highlight everything. right click, and we can mirror the chain, and then it'll pop up. So this will be automatically called right arm, and it'll start at the right shoulder and go to the right hand. So it mirrors exactly the bone on this side to the other side automatically. No goal. And we're just going to try to look as it comes through just to make sure. Index, 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 good. Middle, ring, pinky, thumb. Excellent. Save that. Move on to the next one. So now we need to do one more. Our PreRigGreg. Let's get Greg. And this is our retarget target underscore rig, not Rick. Ah, he's naked. Alright, let's go into the retargeter. And we'll do the same thing. We'll add the chain. So spine, no goal, neck, no goal, left arm, left leg, spine, neck, left arm, left leg. Yeah, alright. Left index, left middle, left ring, left pinky, and left thumb. Not sure why I don't start with the thumb. Not really any reason for it, just the way I tend to do it. And then we'll go spine 1 to spine 3. The neck is the same with the neck to the head. Left arm, clavicle to hand. Left, what is this? Left leg. Left leg is it hip? I think it's the thigh. So we'll go to the thigh. And to the foot. Let's see, left index. Index L1. Index 3. Middle 1. Middle 3. Ring 1. Ring 3. Pinky 1. Thumb. Thumb. Alright, and then the same thing as last time. We'll just select that one, and then shift select the bottom one, right click, mirror chain, right arm, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, no, good, go. Alright, let's go. Alright, and let's do a save all real quick. So now we can right click, go into the animation one more time, PreRigGreg, we'll do the retargeter, and we want to pick the PreRigGreg that we're retargeting from. So it's the one that has the animations that we want to apply over to our new animated body. So we want our source. So source, and I'm just gonna leave it called that. I don't care right now. I'm gonna pull this way a little bit so we can see a little bit easier. Now our target rig is going to be our target, Mr. Greg. Target mesh offset, I'm going to move him to the right a little bit. This just lets you apply the position of the thing. It doesn't really have any mechanical effect. We want to go through and just kind of look. Since we named them all the same thing, it should automatically be applied to the same thing. You want to make sure that it all has the same bone chains applied. Oh, we also want to go through and set that our hip is our retarget root, and the pelvis root. Now when we're over here, we can go into our asset browser and check the breathing idle, and he's animated, but he's like hugging himself in a very awkward way. The reason for this is we need to make our poses match. So we can pause here, we can go into edit mode, and we're on the target. I want to show y'all something that kind of threw me off for a while. So if I click upper arm left and then I try to rotate, it's like, why isn't it rotating? I'm going so far and it's not doing anything. It's because for some reason, undo that real quick. I was on the wrong one. It's because for some reason you have to move it really far to get it to register, and then it'll just suddenly jump. So basically I like to just adjust the source pose. So I'll drop this down into closer of an A pose because his move's much better. So we'll just kind of matching it up a little bit better. And then let's see, I think it was 20, and then down, and we'll kind of see, it looks a little bit nicer, but now his shoulders need to come up a little bit, actually. So maybe there. And the good thing about this new system is you can kind of see it as you go. Edit mode, maybe the shoulders just need to stay the way they were. And you can just kind of fiddle around with it until you find, yeah, it looks alright. Now the arms here, so this arm needs to come down a little bit closer. It gets kind of confusing sometimes because sometimes you'll pull it in a direction that you think it's supposed to go, and then it goes over here the opposite direction you want it to go. But that actually worked out. That looks alright. So now the forearms need to be brought out a little bit. So forearm, and we'll bring it like this. Forearm this way. Let's double check it. Man, it looks like, you ever gone to the gym and you do too many bicep curls and then your arms just like won't extend right? That's kind of what that reminds me of right now. Alright, the reason for that is because his arms go out and his are not. So if we bring this one out like that, I'm just trying to match the pose best we can. Forearm. And maybe rotate the forearm in a little bit more. Let's just see how that affects. Nope, maybe it's out more. Yeah, it looks a little bit nicer, so we'll do the left forearm. Rotate it out a little bit. And then the hands, so this hands are going out, or these are coming in, so left hand just in, right hand in, and that's looking decent. His legs are a little spread out a little far, but we can fix that too. So we'll go down to the left up leg, right up leg, and we'll check that. A little bit too much, probably because of the snapping, so I'll just turn this down to 5, and we'll go in what? Oh, that's snapping, that's dumb. Alright, that's the rotation, snap 5 degrees. And same thing on this side, just back together a little bit. And that's looking, you know what, he looks fine. Now let's check the other animation. So we'll pull this up a little bit. How do you look when you're walking? And running. Alright, we won't retarget the running just yet. Falling. Them traps look a little strange. So we'll wait on that. Walking looked fine, and the idle looked fine. So we'll select the idle and the walk. Oop, not shift select. Idle and walk, and we'll export these into our third person blueprints, animation retargets, animations. No, we'll go into the Greg pieces, and we'll make a new folder in there. the Gregimations. I don't know why. We'll export those too. And then we got those. So we'll go back to the retargeter. And for the running, his shoulders look a little funny. So let's go into edit mode. And we can just kind of adjust it as needed. That's the right shoulder. And we'll go up a little bit. And then up a little bit. Nope, nope, nope. Needed to go down a little bit. So down, down. And down, down. Looks a little bit nicer. Might need to adjust the forearm a little bit to bring it. Let's see if we brought it down. That means we need to go back out a little bit. Back out. And basically just fiddle around with it until you find what looks decent. That looks good enough. So, how about the falling? And that's good on the falling, I think, too. So we'll just running and falling, and we'll export those into that folder. Uh-oh. Let's see, into the Gregimations. Okie doke. So let's save everything real quick. I think I just did. We can close these for now. So now that we got Greg going, could create a components folder to put in here. So let's just go into the animations folder. We'll right click, go into animation, create an animation blueprint for Mr. Greg. Create that. This will be the player anim _BP. Double click and open that up. Then we'll right click one more time and create an animation. Let's see. Oh, it's under animation. Blend space. We need a blend space for Greg. And this will be our base locomotion or base loc _BS. Because I'm tired of you. No, I'm kidding. I was yelling at Greg, not y'all, though. Don't worry. So over here, we want to go into our horizontal and vertical axis settings. For the horizontal axis, all we need is the snap to grid because we're not going to be going left and right. We're only going up and down. So for the vertical axis, this will be the speed variable. I'll have a maximum speed of 450. I'm going to set my grid divisions to 8 and make sure we're snapping to the grid. So let's set our breathing idle here, our swagger walk here, and here, and then running here. So this creates just a little window so where it just applies these animations instead of getting here and then trying to blend between the running until it gets a little bit higher up the speed chart. And with that done, we can go into our player animation blueprint. And let's see, it was a state machine. So we'll add a new state machine. We'll hook it up just like that. And for our entry, we'll add a new state called base. We'll bring out our base locomotion, and we'll right click the speed variable and promote that to a variable. Go into our event graph. We'll cast to the third person character or whatever your thing is called. Right click, promote that to a variable called player ref. And we'll add a sequence node at the end of that. And for this top, we'll get the velocity of that blueprint and get the vector length, velocity vector length. Oh, it's not get vector length, it's just vector length. And then that is your speed variable. For those of you who are curious, if you are using the direction and you want to be able to calculate that, you'll get the actor rotation. You'll calculate direction, and then you'll plug the velocity in right here, and then when you promote this, this is your direction variable if you want to use it on the other one. We're not doing that for this one, but just in case you are, there's that. That's all you got to do. Now as the player ref, again, I'm going to get and see if they are falling. And if they are, I'm going to promote it to a variable called jumping. So we'll plug that in just like that, compile it, go back to our base state, grab this, and we're going to blend by bool. So this checks a yes or a no and then determines which animation to play based off that. If they are falling, we want to play the falling animation, and if they are not falling, we want to then play this one. Now they made a small change to the sequence players in this, so you'll want to highlight this and then go down to loop animation and then tick that. So now we can go to our third person character, go to the mesh, and where it says use animation blueprint, we find our player animation blueprint, and then he's animated. He runs kind of funny, but you know, you just, oh, and he is stretching through. I probably needed to make those a little bit thicker on the pants, but he's animated and running around, and that's pretty much all there is to it. So now you could go through, well, I am going to do one thing real quick just because it bugs me. So for the acceleration, I'm going to set it to 768, the braking friction factor to 0.8, and then the max speed 450, and then the braking to deceleration to 768 also. You can go through and just kind of readjust the skeleton in order to get better retargeted animations. I wanted to give you the basis without taking up too much time because I have a tendency to get bogged down in the details of stuff. But yeah, so you can take your character and you can use any of the Mixamo animations or do whatever you want. So hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you know, like, subscribe, whatever. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.